Shalom, everybody. Shalom. It is so wonderful to be back on the radio, on the air with you all, here with a legend, an amazing human being, and an amazing talent. I'm so excited about this because, you know, I myself am something of a jack of all trades, a moish of all trades, if you will. I'm a rabbi, I'm a writer, I'm an entertainer. Occasionally, when necessary, I'm a topless dancer, but that's only for money. But listen to the resume, listen to the biography of this person that I have on the telephone with us right now. Oh my God, listen, his biography ranges from Broadway, including the original Sound of Music and A Streetcar Named Desire. He's done opera at the Los Angeles and Cleveland opera houses. He was an Oscar-nominated actor for The Defiant Ones. He's won an Emmy, ladies and gentlemen. He's a folk musician. He's a nationally syndicated radio host. He is the former president of Actors Equity and former vice president, and I'm so proud of this, of the American Jewish Congress. And even more than any of these amazing things, Theodore Bikel was a celebrity guest on Super Password. I cannot believe all these things that he has done. Mr. Bikel, are you with us? First of all, hello, shalom.
Hello, shalom. Yes. After this introduction, I want to meet this guy that you're talking about.
Isn't he an amazing fella? And is he 85 years old at this point? How old are you?
85.
Mazel. And how? First of all, most important thing, how are you? Are you healthy? Are you good?
Yes, I'm fine. We're talking. I'm alive. I'm surviving.
You are more than surviving. You're bringing a new show to Off-Broadway, aren't you?
Yes, indeed.
Please share. Please tell.
Well, it's called Sholem Aleichem, Laughter Through Tears, and it's a show that I wrote for over a period of about 2.5 years, and a show that we did in Washington, D.C. for 5 weeks, and then in Florida, and last week we did it in Toronto for 8 performances. It is quite a wonderful, it's a one-man play with music.
It's like Spilkis, you can't sit still. You're everywhere, a week here, a week there. Do you like the traveling still? Do you like to go around the country, or would you rather be settling down at this point?
You know, in my line of work, you have to go where the audiences are. I would love to be at home and work where I live, but that's not in the cards, so I have to go where the audiences are.
Well,
the audiences are in New York at the moment, and so we're starting at the Baruch Center. The first preview is going to be on November 8th, and we're going to do shows through December 13th.
Now, are there things that you discovered about the great writer Sholem Aleichem by doing this show and other Sholem Aleichem shows? Are there things that you didn't expect?
Absolutely. First of all, you know, most people only know Sholem Aleichem through Fiddler on the Roof. But Fiddler on the Roof is one little slice of the Tevye stories. Even Tevye himself has many more dimensions than you see in Fiddler on the Roof. And in my play, you have them. They are both comedic and tragic. That's why I call the show Laughter Through Tears. But it's not only about Tevye, it's about he wrote so many characters. I have 18 volumes of Sholem Aleichem in Yiddish sitting on my shelf right now, and I've been drawing on all of them for the show, trying to remember, to preserve, to have a legacy going for Sholem Aleichem. After, you know, he died in 1916, but what he wrote and how he wrote, it brings back a world to us that is almost lost to us. In the show, I play some 20-some-odd characters, young yeshiva boys, old rabbis, grandfathers, grandmothers, old women, all manner of things I'm playing in the show. And it's a show with music, as I mentioned. He loved music, and there are songs of the period that I sing. The songs are partially in Yiddish and partially in English. The entire show is in English, but there's a lot of Yiddish in it, a lot about Yiddish in the show, because this is a love of Yiddish.
Was Yiddish your first language, or was it German because you were born in Austria?
Well, both. I spoke German with my mother and Yiddish with my grandmother.
How long were you in Austria before you got the hell out of there?
When I was 0 when I was born.
This is true. Some people have called me a 0 now, like I'm 45, so it's all right. But in other words, they left Austria.
When I got out of Austria, I was 14.
Oh my God! So you witnessed the change over there of what was going on. I mean, I read somewhere in a bio that you actually saw your neighbors reacting and responding to Hitler and all his people going through in their limousines.
That's absolutely true. I saw under our window. We lived in a major thoroughfare, and under our window I saw the armored cars, and I saw the open limousines with Goering and Hitler in them.
What did you think at that moment?
Well, we knew what to think because the Germans had been in charge of Germany for the past 5 years, and now they're marching into Austria, and we had an inkling of what was going to be in store for us, and indeed it was extreme discrimination and cruelty, although nobody could imagine the extent of the cruelty that eventually developed.
So did your whole family get out?
My father, mother, and I, yes.
Well, Mazel, and you went to... Did you go directly to Palestine, or what did you do?
Directly to Palestine. Of course, we did it on roundabout ways because, it would have been shorter to go directly to Italy and catch a boat. But we heard that the Austrian border guards were playing tricks on Jews. And even if anything was in order, they would send them back. They would tear up their papers, all that. So we went through Germany. And the Germans are, no matter what else they are a orderly people. And if everything was in order, they'll let you go. And so we went through Germany into France, and from France into Italy, and from there we went on a boat.
Now, what was it like living in Israel before it was Israel?
It was very open. Nobody locked any doors at night. We would go to the movies and just close the door, not lock it, and come back. It was a very... and I was in a kibbutz, of course. First of all, I was also in an agricultural school because I believed that the country needed pioneers. Of course, I didn't notice that I had no talent for agriculture.
I learned that the first time I tried planting something. Oh my God, the thing started growing under the ground. Never understood that. But
anyway,
yes.
So this is my background, and a lot of it has to do with Eastern Europe, and Sholem Aleichem has been part of my upbringing. Ever since I can remember, my father used to read Sholem Aleichem stories, plays, around the table after dinner in Yiddish. And so when it came time for me to play Tevye, it was an old friend.
But that's much already kind of later when you got to Fiddler on the Roof. But first you went to the theater in Israel, pre-Israel, as I would call it. The Habima was I guess, first being founded.
I was a student at the Habima. The first time I stood on the stage in a professional capacity was in a play called Tevye the Milkman.
Oh!
And I played the constable. I had 29 words to say.
Do you remember? I'll bet you remember them.
I counted them twice.
Can you say them? Can you? Were they in Hebrew and Yiddish?
First of all, the whole play was in Hebrew, and I no longer remember exactly what I said, except that I came to announce that they had to leave the village.
Right. You got to be the nasty part. That's
right.
Let me ask you, because we're going back all over this history, and I'm curious about the moment that things clicked. Like, you knew, obviously, like Austria and Germany was turning into a horrible place for Jews, and you got out, and you went to... I always wonder, when people really found out, when did you really find out what?
Not until much, much later, the extent of the horror. Much, much later. And even, although there were rumors, but, you said rumors, it's impossible that these things could be happening. separation of the camps that we found out.
Really? It was already after that you didn't even get the well, you got the rumors, but you really had no inkling in 43, 44, 45.
No, we did not.
Wow. And did you lose, I know, thank God, your immediate family was with you, but did you lose relatives of relatives?
We did. I did. Yes.
So?
What can I tell you? Those of us who survive have an obligation to keep memory alive.
Let me ask, since you lived at one point, obviously, in the Middle East and Israel, and now, you know, what's been going on since the past 60 years, since the birth of Israel, well actually, I was going to get that. You said when you were on the kibbutz, you didn't lock the doors, you went to the movies, it was nice. The Arabs weren't a problem until it became a state.
We don't have enough time to detail the problem of theirs, but it's as much of a problem of our age, where the contrasts in the world are so marked and so exacerbated by people yelling at each other, shouting at each other, mistrusting each other, not trusting their peaceable instincts. So that you know, I sometimes have to fight with other Jews to try and convince them that peace is something to be desired, and that peace cannot be had unless you compromise, unless you find a way to even talk to former enemies. It's not easy.
Well, if you were Barack Obama, what would you do? You were there, and you're Jewish. You were so.
I've been finding exactly what he's doing.
Which is
exactly what he's doing, and that is a support a two-state solution, because you cannot. You know, sure, you can be totally victorious, but if you're totally victorious, what you're creating is a permanent state of belligerence.
That's kind of how I live my life.
For 100 years.
So, but what do you do about Jerusalem?
Internationalize it.
You really believe that's the way to go? To take Jerusalem out of Israel per
se? Out of the equation.
Whoa. Wow. No wonder you must get, Jews must get kind of, shall we say, affronted by the thought.
So a lot of people get affronted. Christians get affronted. Muslims get affronted. Better to be affronted, but to find a way of keeping this chestnut out of the hands of the people who are dealing with it, because they're going to get burned fingers.
Nicely put. Let's go on to happier topics, to more artistic and creative topics. Since you've done so many of them, I'm kind of wondering, first of all, you were the original Von Trapp in The Sound of Music.
Yes, I was.
Any memories of working with Rodgers and Hammerstein?
Absolutely. You know, this was the first musical that I was ever in, and to me, it was just another play that happened to have music in it. Everybody else was trembling, you know, and they say, Rodgers and Hammerstein and Mary Martin and Broadway, and I remember on the opening night, people were so uptight. I went around to all the dressing rooms to congratulate people, to wish them well, and to tell them that there are 600 million Chinese who couldn't care less.
That's brilliant. That's a wonderful way of thinking about it. And also, I've got to ask this, because you were in the movie The African Queen, one of the greatest movies ever made, with such amazing personalities in it. So, any specific memories of working with people like John Huston and Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn?
Well,
nice goyim all.
I played a lot of chess with Bogart. He was a good chess player, and I say that because he beat me. And Katharine Hepburn was a great New England lady who was very gracious to everybody, and she was lovely. And John Huston was a fabulous director. Was also he liked to play tricks on people.
Oh, such as? What did he do?
Oh, people would come and visit on the set, and he would tell the crew not to let them near anybody. And so that whenever they tried to get near the actors, there was always a
just a goof on John Huston's part. I'm wondering also, we mentioned again and again Shalom Aleichem and Tevye. You've played Tevye more than 2,000 times in your career. How would you say that your Tevye is unique versus, obviously, Zero Mostel, or Topol, or Paul Lipson, or Clarence Williams III? How is your Tevye special to you?
Well, Zero was a brilliant comedian. I mean, he was a comedian who chose to get serious, and I'm a serious actor who gets laughs.
Okay.
So there's a difference right there. And also, for me to play Tevye, I played my own grandfather. And how I remember my grandfather.
Oh, that's interesting. What do you remember about your grandpa?
Well, he was both pious and irreverent at the same time. I'll tell you a true story. One time he gave up on religion. He said that God had let his people down. So he stopped going to synagogue. He stopped doing the things that the pious Jews do. And for a couple of years. And then one day the family walked into the living room, and there he was in a prayer shawl and tefillin, davening, and they looked at him astounded because they hadn't seen him do it in such a long time. And without breaking stride, he looked up and he said, maybe this will help.
You know, that's a very Jewish kind of a thing. I do appreciate that. And also, how religious, if at all, are you? How much Judaism is in your daily life?
I have a lot of respect for tradition, and I believe in the power of belief. I don't believe in the kind of a God to whom you can apply a God that rewards and punishes, a God that gives and takes away. That's not the kind of God I believe in. I believe in a moral force.
And has that been borne out in your life, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I am deeply imbued with the notion that human beings, the better they are, and the more knowledgeable they are, and the more wisdom they absorb, the more they're likely to take care not only of themselves but of each other.
That is a beautiful thing. By the way, it says here in the thing that you are an American citizen since 1961. What made you want to become an American?
You know, America was a very welcoming place to me. I came here after 8 years in England, and while I had a British passport, I knew I could be British for 8 years, but I could never be English.
True.
Because they do not accept you. In New York, after 6 weeks, I was a New Yorker.
That's the way it works. It's true.
And that, by the way, is one of the themes of the Shalom Aleichem show that I'm doing, is his desire to live among Jews in America. Because he said in Eastern Europe, they were being oppressed constantly. And there were 5.5 million Jews at the time whose mother tongue was Yiddish, and yet the Tsar's government would only allow one publication in Yiddish, no more, and no Yiddish theater. And in New York, there were less than 500,000 Jews, and there were more newspapers published in Yiddish than in English. And Shakespeare was done on 2nd Avenue in Yiddish before it was done uptown in English.
Did you get to see and perform in the Yiddish theater when you got to America finally in the 50s?
Yes, I did.
Oh, so who did you work? Did you work with Molly Pecan, and did you work with those people?
Yes. It was at the tail end. You know, I came here in 1954. By that time, there was not that much Yiddish theater that remained, but whatever there was, I saw.
Was it different to play Yiddish theater than to do, say, American theater? Did you have to do a different style? Was it more melodramatic, or did you apply the same kind of acting techniques?
No, you apply the same acting technique. The point is that Yiddish theater had both its high plane and its low plane. Like any other theater, you know. Theater is Shakespeare and theater is vaudeville, and it's both theater.
This is very true. Now, I want to wish you also a mazel tov, because apparently, and according to this as well, you'll be celebrating your first anniversary very soon to your third wife. Is this true?
That is absolutely correct.
Mazel, how did you were 84 years old, how did you meet a nice Jewish girl?
Well, I looked.
Well, did you look through Irving's list, or what did you do?
I didn't have a shotgun. I didn't have a matchmaker. Yente the matchmaker was not in my cards.
This is true, but you didn't need her. You had, where did you meet this nice wife?
Actually, my wife is a superb artist. She's a conductor, orchestral and choral, and when she works with me, she plays the piano. In fact, she's the music director of my show, the Sholem Aleichem show that you're about to see.
Oh, Mazel, I didn't realize we were both working together. That's so great. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. And let me get, is she 27 years old? No, I'm kidding.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, look, more power to you. So, are you planning anything special for your anniversary, or will you just be working on the show?
Oh, no, we'll just be working on the show. That's all right. I mean, we never even had a honeymoon. We had a honey day.
A honey? Oh, this is what did you do for your honey? I'm not talking about the naughty stuff. I mean, did you go to Coney Island or something?
We sat by the seaside and had a glass of champagne.
Somehow this is how Theodore Bikel should be celebrating an anniversary. I see it in my mind. That is so wonderful. Now, please remind everybody one more time when and where and how they can see you being and talking about Sholem Aleichem.
Sholem Aleichem Laughter Through Tears will be playing at the Baruch Center for the Arts, which is on 25th Street and Lexington Avenue. And we are starting our first public performance will be on November 8th. The official opening is on November 17th, and we play through December 13th.
Oh, that's marvelous. And then maybe if people like it, will it extend perhaps? Or
you may have a phone number for them to call. I don't have it in front of me.
I will find it and I will give it towards the end of the show so everybody can go see this wonderful program and this legendary performer. And just one more wonderful question for Theodore Bikel. You are obviously not slowing down any one little bit. Do you ever see that happening, or you're just going to keep going and going, and then boom, God forbid, but one day, you know?
Well, let me put it this way. I actually looked up the word retirement in the dictionary to make sure it exists, but it doesn't exist for me.
You know what? I think that's wonderful. I hope you're doing this Sholem Aleichem show and other shows in 10 years, in 20 years, until you're 120, God willing.
Oh, man.
In good health, too. So, Theodore Bikel, you've just been a delight, a wonder. I thank you so much for being on my program. And everybody, please go to the Baruch Center and see your show. Blessings to you and to your new wife. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Shalom.